Interesting. Quercus, what do you make of this?
You come here often. I don't know what you did, but you just released a source flood. I thought I'd come and see what all the fuss was about. Should have known you were getting yourself into trouble. Looks like the big moment has finally arrived. I will do everything I can to support you, Godwoken. I will pray for you. I think you'd think, right? But no, this is your moment. Still, do not underestimate my presence. This is a place of incredible power where a single prayer holds the weight of thousands. So, I will pray for you. Your heart and soul will fill as quickly as... Consider it a taste of your divine future. The people will pray for you. In turn, they'll trust you to do right by them, as I'm trusting you to do now. Of course, it's up to you whether or not to listen. I know how I'd respond, but you do you.
Malady wearily chuckles to herself, then bows her head in a show of unexpected but sincere reverence.
Looks like my investment's paid off after all.
I need worship only one divine, and I believe he stands before me now.
You've shown me kindness in the face of my sins.
I've always preferred to be the one reaping the attention, but you've turned the tables. I suppose it's only right, seeing...
Now go. Rivellon needs a new divine.
Well, this is it. My goodness. Here we are, Quercus. This is it. What do you mean, Quercus? Of course I'm prepared. I have my noble steed below me.
His whiskers crack into a mischievous smile.
And I may have cracked the spell that will stop the...
Sir Laura turns to you, his beady eyes shining with pride.
I owe you an apology, Shield. At the start of our journey. But I see now that my prejudice was foolish. Now here I am. Here we are, on the brink of saving the world. Indeed, Quercus and I will find an advantageous location and do just that.
Sir Laura takes a slow, deep breath and lets...
You feel it, don't you? It's so still, but there's something behind it. The great acorn is nearly here. Its servants are poised. We've known this moment would come. Now it is time to put my research... I am ready. Quercus is ready. And you, Shield? What say you, Quercus? That's good enough for you?
Sir Laura grabs your pinky with his tiny paw. He gives...
No matter what happens next, Shield, it has been an honor. Now, onward!
Faye, Godwoken. Dallas told me about you. You must be as hard as diamonds, and twice as bright. To have your divine welcomes you.
The divine you thought dead lords over the chamber from a granite throne. He moves to speak, but it's Riedeman's voice that next pierces the air.
What a twist.
Lucian frowns at Riedemann, then bestows a benevolent smile upon you. All that you know of him flashes across the panorama of...
I underestimated you, Godwoken. You have proven to be a formidable foe. You have my respect.
Respect? Indeed.
Lucian's gaze rests upon you and goes through you. He takes your measure entirely.
Lucian, we should tell him the truth.
Yes, I agree. It is time we dropped our mask.
Dallas nods, then reaches for the sides of her head. Where there was one face, suddenly there are four. She takes off the mask. A skull is revealed, bejeweled and ancient as the void.
I am eternal.
Aren't they just full of surprises?
Fear not, Godwoken. Dallas is on the side of all that is good. She is helping me with...
I shall tell you the tale as I told it to Lucian. Long ago, the scholar Fane discovered that the veil between the world and the void was made of source. Our 7 lords
Of course.
Silence, slave. Our king forbade the 7 to reach for this power, but they didn't listen. Instead, they rebelled and sent the king and his people into the void.
With the source they stole from the veil, the 7 created the races so they would have worshippers.
Really? I'm shocked.
Shut your mouth, Godwoken. I tell you the truth. I seek vengeance against the king and against...
There is more, but she hesitates to share it. Then she decides that she must.
I was a child when the God King tore my family apart. I was purged of source and left to rot in a putrid tomb. A child. It was hell. A hell I suffered for the sins of my father. He was the one that betrayed the God King. He was the one that told the 7 the secrets of the Veil. The cruel joke of it all is that the same tomb that housed my tortured body is what sheltered me from the void. Few Eternals escaped that fate. Myself, my mother, and Fane. Yes, Fane. You are my father.
Dallas gives you a steady look, cool and collected. This is your daughter. You are her father.
Your child rotted away in a tomb, just like you, father. Look at us! We are all that remains! But now I have revenge. Revenge on the 7 and the God King. Revenge for what they took from me. My life. My people. My mother!
The hammer's voice falters and her coolness vanishes. Every crack and rasp betrays her grief. But her next words burn not with sadness, but...
Did you even look for me? Did you even look for her?
Dallas, control yourself. Our purpose transcends your personal wounds.
Yes. You are right.
Dallas's reasons weren't mine to question. All that ever mattered to me was peace. Peace for Riverlon. Peace for me, whatever the means. And now, we are on the precipice.
No matter. The plan is almost complete.
We have made so many sacrifices, Godwoken. All of us. Of ourselves and those we love. One last sacrifice is required. For the future of Riverlon, you
Decide. Be the true hero and give up your source, or be forced to submit. Like a coward.
There is no other way. The source of the world is required to close the veil. We only lack yours.
Good. You understand.
The world shall not know this. I shall return from the grave, a divine without power, yet all who desire power shall fear me. I shall carry the secret of my lack of divinity. Peace shall reign.
We already had more than enough Godwoken.
Another sacrifice I was forced to make. Those beautiful people. I was as kind as I could be. I promise you that. Alexander was godwoken. Once, years ago, I should have killed Damien, but instead took him as my son. Quite the mistake. Now, I was forced.
The task fell to me.
And me.
As I say, one last sacrifice is required. Yours. Then let us proceed. Show some responsibility, Father! Surrender your source!
You'll be a hero. Everyone will know of the sacrifice you'll make. Your name will be synonymous with the...
Don't let them do this to us.
The last time I obeyed Lucian, countless innocents died. Surrender my source. He should surrender his life.
It's the right thing to do. You know it is. The sacrifice is worth the prize.
Good.
Yes, very good.
She raises what looks like a leash. A chuckle emerges from beneath Vredeman's hood. The chuckle becomes a guffaw, booming and hateful. Dallas...
Oh, Dallas. Sweet, simple Dallas.
How? What? The leash is cut!
A bright observation from a bilious imbecile. You know people often become sloppy when they're close to achieving their dream. You left the leashing wand next to me, you stupid maggot. So accustomed had you become to me, pretending to be your slave.
Kill him.
Do shut up, you tedious buffoon, and don't look so surprised, as if I would allow a bone bag to enslave me. Me! Yes, I am the one true king of the Source. He who shall be God of the Source. It is— Or did you really think I'd play slavishly along with your ridiculous scheme, Dallas? Yeah, it was only about the power of divinity.
Kill him now.
Too late, you moldering, blight-stained pigs. Grant me power, my ally. God King, I call on you! You dare interrupt Brachus Rex? How novel. Who are you to challenge the Source King? Ah! You were the fetid dirt on my boot. You are nothing at all. The God King hears my call. He sends a companion worthy of my power. Come to your father. Come to the Source King.
and the air goes suddenly eerily still. Then breaks, a flash of heat hitting your face like fire.
I hate to crash the party, but I think the time's come for an intervention. There's a matter I need to attend to, you see.
Dallis whips her head in the doctor's direction as he calmly raises his palm.
What is the meaning of...
Enough talk from you.
Dallis collapses. There is neither fanfare nor dirge. The hammer is simply gone, victim to the doctor's cruel whim.
And
The demon turns to you. His eyes are terrible and familiar as they burn into yours. This is the monster in the mirror, the demon inside you.
hello, my dearest friend. We've come so far together, Lusa. Just a little further yet, and we can rest.
Your body is suddenly heavy and weak. The effort of keeping upright is nearly insurmountable. Rest, yes. A bit of rest would do you good.
Why couldn't you just have listened? Why couldn't you have just done as you were told? Well, then you will be the...
It begins with a spark in your belly, then grows to a full-blown flame. No amount of energy can counter the fire burning you from within. You hear his voice once more as your life slips away.
But not, of course, the last.
Doctor lies dead at last.
Wrong. About power, I mean. I was always kidding myself that I could only help my people if I were free. Lead them by example, you know. Thing is, I can never be free. So I must choose the dwarven people's liberty in exchange for my own. I know you'll have my back when I return to them, just like I've got yours.
Beast replies with a nod. There's no denying the glint in his eye. Whatever the future holds, you think back on your journey here, on all that you have seen and done. You think of the Magisters, and the sorcerers they hunted, and of the good and the evil on both sides. You think of how the Eternals came as Voidwoken to reclaim their stolen world. You look at the source around you. The power is immense. Divinity, you think of what you could do with such power. The rights you'd wrong, the wars you'd win. You marvel at your journey and how it has changed you. You think of those you left behind, and of those you met along the way, who stood by you, or again. It's time to choose your fate, and the fate of all you hold dear. What shall it be? Shall you be divine? Your choice is made. The world fades and twists and mutates. You're in the Hall of Echoes now. It reshapes itself around you. Those who stood with you or against you are no longer there. This is where you shall decide one. The Godwoken may die here. all that you have been through, and all that you have done, all that you have become, the Aeteran lies in front of you. Divinity is yours to take. Or to sacrifice. What you do next decides your own fate and the future of the world. What shall you do with divinity?
So it ended. A tale that began with my own ill-fated attempt to rid the world of the God-woken. When the dust settled, no new divine had risen. Instead, all source was released into the world for all the people and every creature to share. Everyone was now a sorcerer. And united, the peoples of Rivellon pushed back the God King into the very depths of the void. This ushered in a new golden age of peace and prosperity. But alas, it was not to last. With many greedy for wealth, power and position, the struggle soon began anew. Source, the very language of creation, was used in violence once more. The never-ending contest for power continued. As for me, my last hope of ever being freed of the God King's terrible tyranny faded when the God-woken failed to seal the veil. An eternity of pain and suffering is mine, in service of the King, until the day I am freed, the day the God King returns.
Shall we sail?
You look out to the endless beyond. The sun's light plays upon the waves, just as it always did. And with a start, you realize where you must go next. The world was at peace, at least for now. Few were as prepared for the new world as the lizardkin of the ancient empire. With power spread equally throughout the world, the advantage lay with those who knew how to steal it, and at this the lizards excelled. Justinia returned to her throne. Under her rule, the Dwarven kingdom prospered, until 2 years later a jealous lover stabbed her in the heart with a mutton fork. With their power returned, the elves reclaimed their lands from the Death Fog and began to rebuild. Soon they would split as two factions sought power, one to bring back the trees, the other to bring back the Scions. A dwarven joke did the rounds. It ends with the punchline, "So Lucian dropped the Death Fog on them again." And in a dark forest on the far side of a desert, well beyond the high seas, the Black Ring came together once more. The island of Fort Joy, the old redoubt of the Source King Brachus Rex, was turned over to the people of Driftwood to use as they wished. They turned it into a holiday resort. Reaper's Coast prospered. The fisheries returned, and the fertile farmlands produced the greatest harvests the surviving farmers had ever seen. Blood Moon Island became particularly fecund, its soil producing the greatest crops. A particularly crimson-fleshed orange grown on the island became a delicacy across half the world. The black pits took fire. The oil there burns still. Driftwood became a centre of industry, trade and transport. Lohar the dwarf became mayor. His time in office was cut short by an unfortunate wound that spontaneously appeared on his neck. Your lizard lover from the Black Bull Tavern finally returned to the ancient Lizard Empire, there to found the newest and most popular of all the houses, the House of Love. Lagan left his over-demanding wife and began a relationship with a local bard. In the spirit of loving generosity, he returned the ring to his now ex-wife. In a fit of rage, she threw it into the sea. You would never forget Dorothea's kiss. Dorothea herself left Driftwood for the ancient empire, ever in search of the perfect kiss. She never found it, although once or twice she came close. The nameless isle had vanished. Although only open water remained, by instinct ships would steer clear. None of the captains could articulate why. Millennia later, adventurers would come in search of the legendary divine city of Arx and the crypt of the great Lucian. None would pass the path of blood. Sir Gareth thanked the surviving Seekers for their service and gave them their freedom. Disillusioned with the rising chaos, he set out alone to find a new purpose. He would never stop seeking. Young Han went into the theatre and became one of the realm's most popular actors. Almira and Mihaili settled in an abandoned homestead. The locals liked and respected Almira. She never wanted for help, and deals always fell to her favor. Outsiders were often suspicious, but no local would speak against her. With no new divine, Malady found herself in a predicament. She had an important problem to solve, but no ally strong enough to call upon, and so her search continued. Having performed the greatest act of necromancy in history, Tarquin found the new world unchallenging. He became obsessed with rumors of another plane of existence. One day he vanished and was never seen again. With the source released to the world, Ahu the wizard spent more and more time as a cat. One day he decided he would not change back. With Amadia silent, the priestess Gratiana left the swamps and re-entered the world. With more undead than ever before, she founded an abbey in the Dragonspine Mountains, offering them shelter from hatred and fear. Mordus scratched out a living, ending up as a short-order cook. After an epiphany arising from the phrase, sunny side up, he started a religion. Upon his death from food poisoning, all three of his followers committed suicide. As the forests grew anew and the elves were equals at last, Sahala shared elven knowledge of source with the world. But some elves disagreed and plotted against her. Chief amongst her opponents was Tova, Sahela's own mother. The Beast of the Sea returned to the Dwarven Kingdom, this time as a lawmaker. After a very public blunder, Marcus eschewed political power and returned to the sea. The Beast and the Lady Vengeance sail on. And then there was you. You returned to the world a sorcerer among many. Your future was yours to decide. Did you accept your new status with humility? Only you know the truth, you and one other. But of him you are free. The God King no longer calls your name. He no longer whispers your shame. Only you know if you atone for your sins.